Today I'll be showing you the Dark World deck, or at least the way I'd like to play the deck, and showing you a couple of tricks with this deck. First off, we're going to start with Grapha. That's kind of obvious why he's in the deck, because he is the hardest hitting, easiest to get out there Dark World monster, and every time you have another Dark World monster on the field, you can pretty much plus yourself. Or you can just normal summon, flip him back to your hand, and then get him on the field. Also, he destroys one card if he's discarded. Pro. Silva, I'm going to run 3 of these. The focus of this deck is to have a Cerealie and Silva in your hand at all times. So at any point in time when your opponent has 2 cards in their hand, you're going to want to take those. You want to get it off early in the game so you can cripple their hand and just make a comeback with all your heavy hitters. Actually, not really a comeback, but more of a, assault. Gold, just one random gold, just because he's searchable with snow. Basically blow up 2 cards on the field, so if you're having a hard time with some type of, field spell card or heavy hitting monster, you can get rid of 2. Yeah, like I said, just 1 of these guys. 1 Brawn, the Mad King, because he's a monster that lets you drop more monsters, and he's reusable. Usually what I like to do is, attack directly, and if they, don't block it, it's like, well, that was stupid. I mean, if you could have blocked it, you would have blocked it, because now I can summon a monster, silver or gold, and, more damage, of course. Snow, 3 snows. One of the main cards of the deck, because it lets you thin out your deck, find any Dark World card, not just monsters, but also Dark World dealings and the gates of Dark World. 3 of these, obviously. Yeah, 3 of those, and 3 Cerealies. 3 Cerealies. Like I said, the idea of the deck is to try to get this guy in your hand ASAP with Silva. That way you can drop it and cripple their hand and basically, turn the tides of the game. Actually, it really doesn't even turn the tides, because at the beginning of the duel it pretty much just ensures your victory if they start off with only 3 cards and you start off with 6. So 3 of these guys. There's another trick I'll show you later on with this guy you can pull off with one of the spell cards I have. Scar, the Scout of Dark World, just 1. I only need to run 1 because you're running Morphing Jar and Reavers in this deck. You're going to want to throw something else down so that they can't predict what they're going to run into. You can also have you can creature swap him and get a +1. And, well, he's a good deck thinner, really. You can search for Snow, and Snow will allow you to search for Grapha, whatever. So it leads, kind of works your way up to the bigger monsters. 1 Morphing Jar. This is the one of the staple cards of the Dark World deck. For obvious reasons, you set both players' hands, and you pretty much plus yourself every time you have some type of Dark World monster in your hand. And then 3 Reavers. This card alone, it's pretty broken in this deck. It's a plant and fire plant. Doesn't really go with the deck that well in that sense, but it's a flip effect monster. It lets you makes both players drop a card, meaning they, -1, and then you most likely don't really plus, but you obviously get your effect of the Dark World monster. Also, he's 1600 attack. Blurry. Well, he's 1600 attack, and if he's destroyed in battle, the monster destroyed, it loses 500 attack. So you can severely cripple a large monster as he's being flipped. So it turns the tables a little bit there. Those are the monsters, mostly Dark World monsters, the exception of the flip effect monsters at the end. And let's see, spells, mostly spells, a couple traps. We have Allure of Darkness. It's kind of obvious why this card's in the deck, because it's mostly dark monsters. Doesn't really help the deck out in the sense that it removes the monster from play, but it is a deck thinner nonetheless. And Card Destruction, another deck thinner, basically just screws their whole hand and allows you to drop and draw or whatever. Really just, it's usually a plus when you have at least 2 Dark World monsters, or maybe even 1 Dark World monster, depending on the monster. And like I said, it messes up their hand, so they pretty much like go crazy. You drop like their Judgment Dragon or whatever. 3 Dark World dealings. Obvious reasons you want to run 3 in Dark World deck, because deck thinner lets you drop a monster. And Gates of Dark, or the Gates of Dark World, is 3 of these. Reason you want to run 3 is because it's actually the best card in this deck. As far as discarding and drawing, it's the best card because it's reusable. After the first use of this card, you pretty much are plussing yourself every time you use it after that. So yeah, 3 of these, and since you can only run 3 of those, you're going to want to run 2 terraformings, just 2, because a third can become a dead draw. This is a deck thinner that thins out your deck, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. It's a deck thinner that thins out your deck for another card that's also a deck thinner. I don't know, it's crazy. 3 gateways to Dark World. This is the defensive/aggressive card. You can pull out the 27 attacker for a blocker, or at the end of the turn, or beginning of their turn. If they have like 1 card in their hand, you can probably pull it off with Cerulean, drop that card, and then pop Cerulean back for Grapha, negativing them 1 and then plussing you 1. Creature swap, you want to run 2 of these, no more, no less really, because you can creature swap your flip effect monsters, making it now technically their card effects. You know, Morphine Jar, give them Morphine Jar, flip it, and then it was their Morphine Jar at the time, so you get, you know, the Silva effect or whatever. Also, Grapha, you want to put summon Grapha in defense and swap it for their higher attack monster. Attack your Grapha, and then just summon Grapha back with, you know, whatever low-level Dark World monster you have in your hand next turn. Definitely a good card for this deck. Foolish Burial, 1 Foolish Burial. Allows you to put Graph in the graveyard, basically at the beginning of the game, or actually any point in time. If you don't have Graph in the graveyard, it's a really good card to draw. I mean, this ultimately will allow you to plus yourself every turn. You can summon Graph. Like, put Graph in the graveyard, summon Graph with the low-level monster. You didn't plus yourself yet, but if Graph dies and you keep summoning that monster, you're plussing yourself. I guess these are stable cards of pretty much any deck. You know, Heavy Storm. I kind of like this card the most in this deck because people realize what you're doing with this, with the you know, discarding of their cards, and they usually don't want to have 2 in their hand, so they'll lay everything down the field, and this card will make them wish that they didn't do that. Makes them play. This deck makes people play noob, and then they realize Heavy Storm exists. I guess that's kind of funny. I guess Dark Hole, duh. Mirror Force, you know, yeah, good defense. You need basically for the flip effects, you need some type of defense, so you don't have to have them be hit every time. Torrential Tribute, usually you just set this guy down whenever Graph is on the field, and they won't even think about it, and they'll start summoning a bunch of monsters, and then you just blow up Grapha with the rest of them. I mean, who cares? Grapha's going to come back, right? And then Bottomless, because for whatever reason I have the hardest time against JD and Blackluster Soldier, so I'm running 2 of these, and that's pretty much the way I play the deck, or the way I build the deck. The way I play the deck is focus on hand destruction first, and then try to rush them. So that's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, and tell me what you think.